I think you said they don't even have the capacity to reason.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just not sure where that's coming from.
It's just picking the next most probable word that will satisfy whatever prompt was given. And I feel like, or at least the guy made the argument of, and I was convinced, that it's just like a difference in kind of problem solving. Even if the LLMs can be significantly improved and can get good at answering specific prompts, they're not reasoning from a mind the same way that a human is like reasoning from like a set of like semantic understandings.
I'm just curious, like, what's your definition of reasoning?
I guess it's like the reasoning is like a byproduct of.
So I heard you yesterday at the start of stream talking about some AI stuff briefly, and I think the discussion you had with that, was it a neuroscience guy, is giving you, I think, pretty bad impressions of how AI works and its like capabilities and stuff.
The things
like
I'm talking about right now are
one
very
being,
specific to like LLMs, but okay.
Yes, yeah. The main one being about, because I would say that's quite demonstrably not true in many ways for LLMs.
Okay.
Although I guess it, like, first of all, it depends on what are you meaning by reasoning there.
Yeah, so I think that like the reasoning thing means that I can't explain this as well as he can, and I know I can't explain this as well as he was, but like what an LLM does is you've got like a million different parameters, I guess, or things that it can draw from. When you ask a question, it's trying to like generate a response, solving for what it thinks like fits best to the response to the prompt that it was given, basically. But that form of like choosing the next word that is like statistically more likely on each next step to fit in as a good response to the prompt that it was given, that is like fundamentally a completely different process than how like a human will semantically reason out some kind of problem solving thing.
It kind of like, I think this is often referred to as like a stochastic parrot thing. I think it's often used as a thing where the idea is because it's only really predicting the next word, it therefore can't be doing reasoning. The bit that gets lost in that is, one, there's a few reasons to think that doesn't like necessarily mean it's not doing reasoning, but also there's a whole step in the middle of it sees the existing context, the existing text. There's something in the middle there before it produces that output token, and there's pretty substantial reason to believe from quite a bit of research that there is multi-step reasoning happening within that is not just pulling on existing like data completely. That there's some process within there that's modeling, in some cases, a sort of model of a world, in some cases a just sort of more typical multi-step reasoning that a
Wait, when you say
through.
Modeling a world, what does that mean?
A good example would be, there's an interesting paper I saw where they trained an LLM to predict chess moves. I believe it was it trained on a bunch of like inputs, the move notation or something in chess. It trained on that and then trained to output the next moves. You can then go into the sort of brain of the LLM, so to speak, and see all of the sort of intermediary activations of they're called perceptrons, but effectively neurons in this LLM's brain. And you can see that it actually reconstructs a board state within its brain at a certain point with correct relations between like possible moves that are like legal and all that kind of thing. So it essentially, from just this text input, ends up learning a correct representation of how a chessboard is structured and the kinds of legal moves that are possible.
So
I will challenge.
Wait, are you going to say something meaningful? Or you better say some retarded shit.
I play a lot of chess, and I've seen like videos on like AI doing chess stuff, and AI will fuck up a lot of chess moves. It'll play like illegal moves.
That's
and,
fine.
like,
Okay, it wasn't fully retarded, but not.
That's a separate thing.
Okay, wait. Okay, so I would challenge that in that chess is not the reality that we are talking about when we talk about like constructing reality. Like I would argue that chess is closer to a program of like lines of code than it is to like any kind of semantic understanding you could have of like a thing that exists in real life. That there's a huge, like chess is like, you know, you've got the letters and the numbers, you've got like literally a 2-dimensional grid, and then you have a token that can occupy each position on the grid that has some rules governing it. Like chess is a rule set that is fully expressible in programming language. You don't ever have to construct like an actual wooden board or like pieces that you can touch or hold or have a feeling about. Like there is no semantic understanding required to solve for chess moves.
Yeah, there are other examples where things can there's clear understanding of like physical constraints and learning of larger scale like.
Well, wait. I think we have to go through each of these words.
relationships.
Like when you say physical constraints, like I don't think there is a physical constraint on chess that I don't think the LLM would need to know any physical thing. It just needs to know the rule set. Like it doesn't actually. Yeah. Like I would consider that. Do we agree that that's like a different thing, like a physical constraint versus like
Yes.
the rule?
Yeah.
Okay. Just making sure. Okay.
Yeah, I guess there's a lot of like common things that get brought up in terms of what people mean by
Sure. Yeah, that's why I'm
reasoning
clarifying
and
because I
that
might
kind
have
of
said
thing. So
something
I'm trying to like address some of the common things. So I think that the point of bringing up the chess thing is just to show that like they can learn representations that aren't just the text itself. Like it's not just rote learning. All right, this is the correct move to do in this situation. It is actually having some deeper level of understanding of this is the structure of the game, and you know, doing something on top of that is learned. So I guess that's the reasoning of bringing up the chessboard thing. In terms of more,
Well, here, wait. Let's talk about that before just moving on. Okay. So like,
yeah,
I don't know if gaining a semantic understanding, like an experiential understanding of a thing, and then reasoning that is the same as like being able to discover a rule set based on being fed a million different moves and seeing what wins and doesn't win. Like being able to piece together, like what you're talking about almost sounds like a process of like reverse compiling code, where like you see enough inputs, you see enough outputs, and then from there you can kind of guess like the code. Like none of that I think has to do with the semantic understanding of humans. Like this is all still just like squarely within the realm of like programming stuffs.
to some degree, yeah. The reason that a lot of this stuff comes
I'm just pushing on this.
is
wait. You can go back and forth. So when I say like, so you said to some degree, I'm saying like of a kind that like qualitatively is a totally different thing in my mind, and you can disagree with that and then push back on why. I'm just curious. But yeah, okay, go ahead.
I think a lot of this comes down to what you mean by reasoning. To me, I think there's lots of different things that could be meant by reasoning, and I think that chess represents a clear capability, like the kind of understanding of this essentially board being reconstructed within the LLM is demonstrating something beyond the common idea of it's just like pulling effectively like a big database kind of thing. It's just pulling from a whole bunch of learned facts, and it's not doing anything beyond that. I think that's mainly what it's demonstrating, and I don't necessarily disagree that chess is a different, like, not just because it can do chess, that does not mean it has necessarily general reasoning capabilities. I would agree with that.
Sure, I
Maybe
guess I'm challenging when we say like reasoning here, like it seems like what we've done is still, it's just brute forced like so much data that when trying to figure out what the next move is, it's just picking the next thing that would like probabilistically answer the prompt of like what would be the optimal move to win the game of chess next. Like it feels like that process is qualitatively different than, I don't like these chess as a comparison again, because again, this is very like programmatic. So here, like human thought might look similar to chess thought, but not because they're thinking the same, but rather just because chess I view is basically like a program that has like a rigid set of rules. But I still think that the rationale, the reasoning is a bit different than just like assigning percentages to the next option and then just going with the highest number. Like I don't know if I consider that to be quote unquote reasoning or semantic understanding.
I think
with humans reason or semantic understanding. Yeah, go ahead.
I think that, okay. I agree for chess mostly. I think that the main thing I'm trying to get across here is that I think there's this common misunderstanding, I'd say, of the whole like it's just predicting the next word thing, and like on a purely technical level, that's kind of true. Although that's no longer quite as true as it used to be with certain advancements, but it's the like there's reasoning, there's demonstration of some kind of reasoning through a bunch of things that is beyond just predicting the next thing, or like in order to predict the next token, there's demonstration of reasoning within the sort of brain of the model, so to speak. Like we can move off the chess thing, because I think it's like, I don't think the chess thing is necessarily an example to show reasoning, and I agree that it is I think different to generalized reasoning quite clearly. It's just the main point was showing it's not just, there's clearly something at minimum beyond just effectively a database of moves, which is how a lot of people conceptualize. So I wanted that as like a base example of there's something a bit more interesting going on there.
Okay. I guess what it sounds like, when it sounds like you're saying that something more is happening, like everybody in chat keeps screaming about these like reasoning models. A reasoning model to me doesn't sound like a thing that is qualitatively performing a different function. It sounds to me like a reasoning model is just having more steps of next token guessing within the overall question that it'll keep applying to kind of like arrive at a better probabilistic. And that's what it sounds like.
I mostly agree. Yeah,
Okay.
Reasoning models aren't a fundamentally different thing.
Yeah.
It's just
It's like having the agent
like,
check
it turns
itself
out
with another
that,
agent over and over again or something.
yeah, like effectively teaching it to do structured reasoning ends up being like, and writing it out for a lot of problems ends up being better, which I don't think is particularly surprising, because it's the exact same thing for, well, basically any humans as well. Like if you write stuff out in a structured way, you're going to more consistently get to the answer for harder or more complex problems when you sort of break them down like that. The thing that I'm trying to get at is that within a single sort of pass through to predict the next word, there's a lot more going on than people realize. A good example is there's a lot of quite interesting research from Anthropic, who make Claude and similar models, on essentially looking within the brain of the LLM as it's thinking of stuff. Like, and there's a lot of interesting research there about even something as simple as asking it something like asking it to complete the next word in the sentence, the capital of the state containing Dallas is, and the expected thing you would get is Austin, and it does correctly say that.
What, I'm sorry, say that again? That it predicts what the capital of Texas would be, or?
Yeah, so like I guess when you're asking an LLM to just predict the next token or whatever, and you give it the starting sentence, the capital of the state containing Dallas is, you get it to predict the next word, it predicts Austin.
Okay.
You can look at which sort of neurons seem to activate and encode certain ideas within the brain of the LLM, and you can see that there's lots of sort of neurons for things like capital, the idea of like it should respond with a capital, the idea of it should respond with Austin. And by weighting these things, by basically halfway through the inference of like getting it to compute this, you can go in and meddle with those neurons and sort of force them to activate differently. And you can see that like this isn't just a thing of like recording, the capital. It's not like a discrete fact thing of the answer to this sentence is this next thing. There is a clear thing of it's thinking of where is it? Yeah, so it's thinking of like, on the input side, I've seen capital, state, Dallas. From capital and state, I'm deriving that I should say that there's a capital. And from state and Dallas, it's deriving, all right, that's pointing to Texas. And then I need to say the capital of Texas from those two sort of further reason bits and then finding Austin. And by going in and meddling with any individual part of that, you can actually get it to, you can verify that this is actually the reasoning process it's going through. Because if you change any of these individual steps, you get a different answer, like as you might expect of changing. You know, let's say you change the Texas bit to California, it will give answers for the capital of California.
Sure. Okay.
But like the demonstration here is it's doing. It's not. It's basically it is in this case quite simple reasoning, but it's doing the reasoning of taking that input sentence, realizing that the capital of the state containing Dallas is Texas, and then therefore saying, all right, the capital of Texas is Dallas, which is not Dallas, Austin, which is a like clear multi-step process of reasoning that is not just like, all right, I'm pulling from effectively a database or some learned set of facts. It's combining those facts in a more generalized way, which I think is what people would refer to as reasoning. And there's far more complex scenarios you could give, and I believe have been given in this paper.
I don't know if I would disagree that they can do that. I guess here's a question: can you give like a brand new game to an AI and have it like play it competently, like the first time?
Provided you give it rules, then they should be able to play it reasonably well. I believe that in fact there's actually some benchmarks on this, that this stuff is increasingly getting better. There's a set of benchmarks, the ArcAGI benchmarks. I believe 2 was about spatial reasoning mainly. ArcAGI 3 is about this game playing thing, and I believe already there's been significant improvement from.
And is it truly? If I were to dig into these, because I'm too lazy to do this, we need to bring the LLM guy needs to come back and fight. That's what he needs to do. I don't know where he's at, but are they actually truly getting a new game or like a new rule set and then playing the new game, or are they getting the new rule set and then internally creating a data set of 100 million tries of this game and then like playing the new game after?
No, they're getting and playing it for the first time. This is actually one of the frontier things of the. This is like the newest set of benchmarks that is supposedly impossible for LLMs that they seem to be steadily improving at. And a lot of the issues with them seem to be sort of tool calling issues, which is not really related to the ability to reason. It's like outputting stuff in not quite the right format in certain cases. So it breaks. But like I believe I can look up the recent numbers for ArcAGI 3, but I believe originally, like when ArcAGI 3, which was these interactive game-like benchmarks, released, they were initially like it was getting like 1%. All the top models were getting like 1%. I believe we're now up to like 20% or something on some of them, and that's been within like a few months, I think. So there's demonstration that these things are able to do these longer, more complex interactive reasoning things without seeing it in training data.
Okay, I can't respond to this because I've never seen any of these before. But you should find the one dude and bring it back and have an argument with him. He might have made a post on the server. I don't know.
Could you link the chess thing?
Oh, I can. Hold on, I can find that. Got it somewhere.
I mean, what Destiny was describing is like what DeepMind did when they made AlphaZero. It was like a machine learning thing where they had like 500 million games, and then it became really, really good at chess.
Yeah, I'm aware of that. That's a separate thing.
Well, that's not an LLM. That's why I'm a little skeptical of the LLM thing.
I mean, an LLM is fundamentally just a transformer that we've chosen to choose on, chosen to train on predicting next tokens. Or, well, and not even that, strictly speaking. You can use them for things other than just predicting the next token. But
I'm not gonna pretend like
that's
I
typically.
understand.
Yeah, but like a transformer is just a specific like architecture of, like AI model. I'm not 100% sure what Alpha Zero used, but I wouldn't. That might have been before Transformers were a thing. But a lot of the cutting edge stuff will no doubt be Transformers now. Anyway, they seem to be incredibly effective. Yeah, hold on.
Okay. Well. Any
Yeah,
other
I
memes
mean,
for
I
us?
guess that's all. But I would be a little more hesitant to talk about AI not being able to reason, and I'd probably like to take a stronger. If you wanted to take a stronger stance on that, I think you should probably have a more clearly defined
Bring the guy
idea
on.
of what reasoning is.
Bring the neuro guy on.
Um,
Find him.
Yeah, because like there's a lot of stuff that like I remember hearing that neuro guy repeating around. I think he said stochastic parrot as like a thing, which is like such a like thought terminating cliche thing with AI. Like, oh, it's just predicting the next token, so there's no possible way it could be intelligent in any way. Which is just like I don't know, like it saying that it just predicts the next token feels very much like saying that oh well. Humans are just collections of atoms interacting. It's like that might technically be true, but that's not useful to explain.
Well, I think it's more a
any
statement
the
of like what's going on
cognition
inside
things.
like the mind of a thing, I guess.
Well,
so-
no, that's the like it's not really indicative of what's going on in the mind necessarily.
Well, for like
It's-
humans, like
it-
humans
it's,
aren't
it's
just
also not
humans
how
aren't
it's
just
trained fully now either.
Sure, but well, yeah. So if you're looking at non-LLM stuff, I'm sure there are other more sophisticated things that we either didn't talk about or I don't even know about. But there's a like when we say, or when I say like humans aren't just predicting the next thing. Like there's an object or a set of things that we have like an understanding of, and then from that understanding, we try to reason out like what a solution would be. And I don't think that process, we call it reasoning and we call LLMs reasoning. I don't think that's necessarily the same as an LLM like percentage-wise just picking the next most probable word that will satisfy whatever prompt was given. And I feel like, or at least the guy made the argument of, and I was convinced, that it's just like a difference in kind of problem solving. Even if the LLMs can be significantly improved and can get good at answering specific prompts, they're not reasoning from a mind the same way that a human is like reasoning from like a set of like semantic understandings.
Yeah, I think that it's missing the idea that like the predictive token thing is just the final output it's trained on doing.
Mm-hmm.
To get there can be more than just like it's yeah, like to any given human, I guess, could come up with like you could ask a human to do the same job as an AI and like ask it to produce here's a given sentence, figure out the next output like word, give percentages for each of them. But just because a human can do that, we wouldn't say that there's no further reasoning happening to get to that point. And there seems to be a pretty substantial amount of evidence that there's some quite complex behaviors that seem to model reasoning fairly well, and very like human-like reasoning in many cases in like LLMs that, yeah, like in order to produce that final output token.
Okay. Any other?
AI hater here?
No, just continue talking. I'm just listening in. Don't worry about it.
When did I say I was watching this thing on my stream title? No.
Wait, I didn't see your stream title. It's not showing up on the embed.
Okay. Okay, 3 minutes.
Do you want me to leave?
You guys
I can
have
leave.
3
I
minutes.
can leave if you don't
Well, no,
want
you're
me to
good. You
leave.
have 3 minutes to say whatever you want to say, though.
Oh no, I was just curious. Like, what's your definition of reasoning?
I guess it's like the reasoning is like a byproduct of a few kind of like things that are baked into our mind, like understandings we have about like what is logically possible, and then combined with the experiential stuff we gain in life, and then the conscious experience that we have, a byproduct of said conscious experience of understanding that like things can't be mutually like contradictory, or like that things exist, or there's like 3 properly basic laws. There's like non-contradiction, identity, and excluded middle or something. But like you take this, you combine it with like experiences we have in the world, and then from there we're able to like generate thoughts and ideas about it. that process,
Yeah.
like broadly speaking, as a byproduct of our conscious experience, we can call like reasoning. Yeah.
I feel like LLMs just don't have a lot of those, like, I guess, like personal experiences, like the life experience stuff. Like that's completely excluded from the AIs, right?
Well, maybe. I mean, you argue, or I don't know if the argument at the end would be that the training sets or whatever are akin to that. I'm not sure.
Then no
Yeah,
human learns from that volume of data to that breadth ever, right? So it's a very like alien type of knowledge, if you want to call it that, right?
Possibly. I don't know. We need the neuroscience to come back. This is not an area that I have a high level of expertise on, so because
no,
an
I-
argument
No,
might be
but-
that there is
but
like
we
millions
are,
of years
like-
of training for humans, and that like the idea that we have like that we can feel like a hot or cold thing, that this is a thing that is born of like millions and millions of years of training data. We have like neurons and everything that can detect hot and cold and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Yeah,
don't know.
well,
that would
the
be a
quality
compromise.
is definitely like something that's missing from LLMs for sure.
Sure, yeah, yeah. I mean, it would seem so. Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't know
if
what
you-
like Unidev's definition of like reasoning would be.
Yeah,
You got 30 seconds. Good luck.
the more generic thing is that there's a lot of things that reasoning could mean, and quite frankly, I'm not really that interested in it because I think anything that doesn't include qualia, I think we can more or less say now that LLMs seem able to do this kind of general reasoning, however you want to define it, however vaguely. If you're going to say qualia is a requirement for reasoning, that's more difficult because I mean it's how do you even say whether an AI model would have or would have not qualia?
Yeah, I just think
Oh.
the LLMs are more so like replicating the appearance of having reasoning rather than actually reasoning.
I mean that may be fine if you want to say that, but they appear to be able
Do you
to
think there's no difference between those?
generalize to novel situations in ways that aren't just like effectively interpolating input data that they're trained on.
True. I agree with that, and I love you guys, and I'm muting in here, and I'll carry this on the stream another day, okay?
Yeah,
Take
I'll
care.
leave. All right.
Okay. This movie was Kino, okay?